In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Welcome to today's episode lecture. All right, let's dive into it. So, dear viewers, first of all, welcome. To a very important moment. I want to speak about, I think, one of the most important topics a human being can speak about. And I want to, in some sense, make an argument that our current species, which it doesn't matter when you're born, if I was born in 3025, 2025, 1025, it doesn't matter, whatever, wherever you're born, and there's the current live streaming, current civilization, that's like your civilization 1.0. So to me, there is something very strange going on with human activity, aside from the fact that existence is strange at all for being here. I want to speak to the human experience, and I am trying to convey that humans of the modern era in 2025 are under the impression that the soul feeling like it owns life is the most superior approach. It is not. It is a strange conditioning. It is a path unnecessarily traveled by. Right now, we got to work with what we have, and we have a human species that has given all of its power to the idea of itself. And before we even wonder about the wars in the outer realms, every human being must wonder about their inner war. Okay? And the inner war is that how honest will you be with the depth of your awareness? You understand? That means there are humans on Earth right now, and you think every person's behavior is based on, not, excuse me, not based, is like their highest awareness of reality? Not at all. We human beings are functional creatures. That means we value what moves the function of the moment forward. I wanted to write the title a little bit harsher. You know, the first thing came into my mind is that is owning people like, okay, I gotta open up to this because this is a very deep topic. To tread lightly here, I will say this. I was thinking about the nature of the evolution of man's mind, from how all nations used to be slavers to even the depth of a degree of slavery not necessarily being slavery, but being in some sense how the condition is defining the chained to the macro events of reality. That means you live your own life, but it doesn't matter really because there's bigger things than your life happening. And then you wonder about what is the meaning and value of your life, and you realize the idea of why they said you must serve before you command. If you command before you serve, you have to be careful because you might break. I don't know how to say that, like your ego might break. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to this idea where I was thinking, like, I'm 33, I'm not married, I'm at that point where, you know, I gotta settle down and figure things out in a deeper way. And it just occurred to me that, like, we human beings, like, you see, guys, I'm that person who sometimes when I give these lectures, my awareness is like like, playfully, it's like a bird, it's like an eagle, it's like a falcon. Okay. And what it is about the falcon or the eagle or any bird is that they can start off in a nest on a branch, but they must have faith in their wings, and when they fly into the sky, they see the whole forest rather than one branch of knowledge that they were bound by. At some point, you just wonder about the true presence of reality. Like, another way of me explaining my podcast, it's like somebody who's wondering about the true presence of reality, but is you see, I'm trying to get to this point that right now, when you look at the difference between a 5-year-old person, human, and a 50-year-old human, you see not differences in worlds of awareness, right? In how much more awareness the 50-year-old has compared to the 5-year-old. But you also discover that it is about not just what you're aware of, what are responsible for. And so right now, it's there's this view in some sense that, of course, it's like just like how there's school and whatnot. Of course, there's phases of reality. Some even can see the world as a school. But I don't see it more as a school. I see it more as a convention. And I'm trying to say, like, we are living for the sense of how we have things. This is so important to realize. Okay, that human beings are not just acting in accordance to objective reality. Communication itself requires a non a physical subjective position. The privilege the viewers have is that whenever anybody speaks, what are they doing? They are opening their world. They are releasing their inner realms into the outer realms. What that means is they are showing to the world, okay, what kind of reality am I walking in? Okay, am I moving through? And I'm here to tell you that, guys, a part of me is human, loves humanity, cares for tradition and all of this, but a part of me is also, what the F is our species doing? Okay, like, at some point, you got to wonder about the next revolution, the next renaissances, the next whatever. All right, and that next whatever is so huge. What I'm trying to convey, I'll get to it, guys. I'm building up to it. Just a second. All right, to continue. All right, guys. So for this lecture, I have prepared a research component for me to read for you. I have, and what I'm trying to say is that I'm just wondering about how human conscious activity is occurring, and I'm realizing that not only as a species, we're conditioned to treat reality as known, separated nouns rather than an unknown event, an unknown verb. And so it's as if, like, when you look at the human experience, it's about let's say, the accumulation of responsibility for the expansion of one's domains of awareness. So the more aware you're becoming, the world is expanding. Therefore, your ability to respond to it and be conscious of it and maintain it. I'm saying that it's just a sense of accumulation of ownership of an idea. So you're conditioned into being an idea of yourself with a name, with a specific backstory. So pretty much you to yourself are a character in a story of the world. But what you don't realize is that you've been conditioned to only believe that that character is you. So the massive amount of unknown intelligence that you actually are has been limited down to a specific self that either consciously or reactively it is there. You see, this thought occurs on a very deeper level because one is semantic. It's just what the language conveys and what it actually is. All right. When you look at human beings, they seek power. Okay. They're seeking strength. They're seeking resources. They're seeking status. Every person I see, it's like they're all living for an advanced version of themselves, or that at least their minds can fathom an advanced version of themselves. If they want to live for it or not, it's up to them. I'm just saying there's a sense of ownership, right? So you own a name, okay? Like you own a birth certificate, you own, like, citizenship. But I'm telling you, like, when it comes to a sense of owning, it's okay. Let's go from a child. The child's first thing that child owns is what? Is a name. It starts identifying with a name. Anytime it hears that sound, that word, that sound becomes that person. So my real name is Amin, the letters Amin. And any person who says that sound, if I'm in the proximity, it will cause me to turn around. No other name or word is going to cause me to turn around. That's what I'm saying. It's like I became responsible of treating myself as a sound and a word. Okay? And then if people ask me, what is your name? I write those letters. Do you see? I'm trying to tell you, like, how we're conditioned here. It is a matter of seeking the greatness of reality. I don't know what reality you're in, but whatever world you're in, you better be seeking its greatness. One thing that advanced communicators on Earth will have in common with all advanced intelligence all around the sector of reality, aside from being in the same world room, commanded by the same system admin, managed by You know, there's a sort of invisible divine management behind the scenes of every moment to the degree that I have tested it, and I am certain that my free will doesn't have a direct relationship with existence, but it has a direct relationship with its inner existence, which I have termed the inner realms. I'm like, what are these guys doing? They're calling it mind, body, and confusing people. Pretty much, you got to understand, you're living an inner life, which constitutes your whole awareness. But because people can only see your body and hear your voice, right? So they are accessing like a filtered version of you, and that filtered version is a person can manipulate it, right? And it's another way of Socrates saying, sorry, not Socrates, Aristotle saying, like, yo guys, don't lie. Every time you lie, you're creating a simulation of yourself. It's like there are people here looking for truth, and there's some people who are lying in a world that's a simulation. Like, can you imagine how lost? Like that's too much lost. At some point it's like, yo man, that's like the most wrong way. You know, I'm telling you guys, it's a masquerade party in the outer realms. It's an ideological dress up. Okay, in the same way, every person, you know, to be honest, a person's clothing is their decision. For me, it's like weird. People are owning life. Okay, that's how they're acting, right? We're acting like we own. How do I say it? Like a sector of a chunk of history. It's like, excuse me. That means we take literally the sentence "my body." We think it's our body, and they're like, whose body is it? And you say your name. It's a loop, guys, right? It's as if there's an objective body and a subjective body. The subjective body is your name, the objective body is your actual biological body, right? And then when people ask you whose body is this, you're like, it's my body. Who's that? My? It's the name that this body forged. It's a loop. I'm telling you, the human idea has to be revalued. Its design has to be looked through eyes that have a depth that depth has never. How do I explain it to you? There's two ways the moment evolves, either conceptually or contextually, which means there's a self in a world. Either the self changes or the world changes. Okay, now the world seems to be this long operation that's been going on way before we were born, and it will be here way after we're gone. You know, we say the sense of ownership develops as a child. Okay, at some point, the child doesn't even own its identity, it's being given identity. Do you know what I mean? It's all about responsibility levels, and responsibility levels are all about awareness levels. Your awareness to reality suggests your ability to respond to it. Now, let's dive further. I'm making this point, so pretty much what am I saying so far? I haven't even got to the research component, but I'm saying is, look at how we're living in 2025. I act as if somebody comes up to me and says, hey man, who owns your body? I say me. They ask me who is me, and I'm like, yo man, check out this piece of paper with my name on it, right? And so what that means is the idea of self is owning the body, the mind, the whatever. So you're first identifying as an idea, and then that idea is in a weird way acting like it owns all the other ideas because that's the idea you're moving through. So what I'm trying to say here is that it's like you're an idea. You own, at some point you reach the maturity of owning yourself as an idea, and then you're like, what is the idea of me, that as an me as an unknown conscious life force here? It's like, okay, so I own the idea of myself. Now what does the idea of me own? Right? Oh, the idea of me owns a bicycle, owns a car, owns a house, owns a space station. Do you know what I mean? The idea of me owns what do you call it? Owns language, certain language, for example. You know what I'm saying? And then eventually it gets to the social levels where the idea of me, and this is where the language, this is where I'm trying to say the language, the semantic of it, the semantic of the view, the language of the view is different than the actuality, right? So it's as if, wait a minute, human beings are acting like they're owning everything. They're owning, and we raise children, and when they do something wrong, what do we say? We say, own up to it. Do you understand? We're conditioning everybody to own things, and they're owning themselves as an idea, and then they think that that idea is owning everything else. Do you understand? Like, if you really look at what ownership is, ownership is like an evolutionary, like, I shouldn't say evolutionary, I should say this existential being, okay? It's like you have this being on the surface of a planet. It was like, wait a minute, let me turn myself into an idea, simultaneous idea, and let me turn all physical objects into simultaneously subjects. Okay, so a tree is, the word tree is the extension of the physical tree, but it's the extension of the physical tree in the subjective reality, in a subjective context, right? So I'm saying, yo, man, what is going on with ownership? You have a species. The species named everything, and then they started giving a name to the name, which means giving an abstract linguistic meaning to the first symbol that was an abstract meaning to the actual reality. So I'm saying that right now, really what we are, okay, is this organism, and this organism is living a fictional and non-fictional life. Imagine it's fiction behind your eyes. You can imagine flying cars, they don't exist in front of your eyes. You can imagine yourself flying, but you can't fly in the outer realms. So in the inner realms, you're living a fictional life. In the outer realms, you're living a non-fictional life. Okay, but there's one more difference. Behind your eyes, you can live multiple lives in the same moment and still be the same being, and still for it not to be wrong. Do you know? That means it's like me being aware of different organs of my body. It's ignorance if I'm not aware they're all present as one body. It is a matter of the true advancement of consciousness. I keep saying this to you guys. We're humans right now, and some strange ass, hilarious evolutionary stuff is happening, okay? So before, oh my god, I should get to the research component because my laptop has, what? 18% battery. Okay, now I think we're okay. Guys, I'm going to keep going with this. I'm trying to communicate to you that it's like we are conditioned to own up to moments, to be responsible for our awareness. We become responsible of our awareness through a format of self, Okay, and so technically human beings are being raised to own their expression, but they're owning their expression, their existential expression, their complete expression as a being, right, through an idea of themselves. And when most humans think about the future, they're thinking about the idea of themselves. And they might, like, you can think of the idea of $1 million, but you can't envision the exact context of how you have attained it. Do you understand? So the concept is visible, but the context in the future is not visible right at first. And so what the traditional, what at least what I think every being, their approach would be when they come to that terrace of mind, TERRACE. To me, every day, just like how human beings are born and human beings die, to me, every day I wake up, there's parts of me, it's like my reality is never the same. Every day I wake up, it's like another simulation of self has been added, another simulation of a day. So if I've lived 12,000 days and every day I've woken up and I'm like, it's a new day with a new idea of myself, and this idea is going to go do new things. I'm telling the species is identifying with an idea, and then that idea is trying to identify with the idea of the world. And in the middle of this, there is the collapse of human intelligence. Just because you're aware of reality, it doesn't mean you have wondered about the most advanced intelligent expression of it. To me, I think a person has to look into their heart. That means when your body doesn't know what to do, you're like, okay, what about my mind? Mind, what do you think? And if the mind doesn't know what to do, that's when you stop the simulation, the story you're telling yourself, and the character you're telling yourself you are, and you pause the meaning giving to reality. See, human function, because it's a creature that needs to survive and requires balance, you know, needs to maintain itself, it has to constantly move. The healthiest beings are moving. Just intelligence is movement. You have an empty vacuum of a space, there's stuff there, and then there's stuff that moves on that stuff. So I'm saying that I think it's a healthier view to actually acknowledge that we're all unknown expressions through the known format of what we acknowledge to be the human experience. That means we don't know how human the experience of being human is. That's the question. We're wondering about the deeper intelligence beyond the archetype, the human archetype. Doesn't mean that we're trying to find something. There is no treasure. There's treasure in the lower realms and the higher realms. You either, how do I say it? It's all like you either notice the presence of truth and that is moving, or if you're still moving yourself, you're not in the higher planes. Because truth, you're closer to truth. I'm trying to communicate that we've been conditioned to own life as an idea, but intelligence is happening beyond ideas. Destiny decides. And so I'm trying to get to this point that, like, to me, it's a sense of like idea owning idea. All right, let me read this for you. Let me go to the research component. Pretty much, guys, I wanted to say, like, a person wants to say my car, my house, my wife, my kids, right? And then I first came and told people, guys, why do you just say that? Say my, don't just say my nation, say my species, my planet, my universe, right? But eventually this sense of ownership will be realized to be a node in a field. And it's not that you don't have free will. The self that thinks that it has free will is not a self. The moment is a node. You are the awareness of a moment in a field where it can best be termed divinely cognitive. You that means cognition. It's like our cognitive functions are sandwiched between, an abstract identity of self and the actual presence of the unknown presence of reality. So I'm saying it's like, yo, man, they used to own people physically. Now people have this sense of like owning subjectively. That means the subjective ownership of identity is not an issue, right? But the physical ownership of a person is an issue. And the question comes that, okay, how is 8 billion human minds looking at the concept of living in a world and the concept of pretty much psychology of humans being divided between give and take. So it's pretty much like, what is life giving you and what are you taking from life? And all beings know that the sense of being given something feels better than taking something. Do you understand? Which means the lower life, the more you go towards the higher planes, reality is given. The more you go down in the lower planes of this world, reality is taken. Do you understand? And when you take something savagely, it is very different than when you gift something angelically, for example. Do you know? Like a kind grandmother, gifting her grandson or something. Like something. Like pistachios. To me, I don't own myself right now, because that wouldn't make sense, because that means only the idea of myself is a part of the moment. So what? One part of my moment is acting like it owns the whole moment? Not true. The whole moment is present beyond how I identify with an idea or an object or a subject or anything. I told you in the beginning, or I pointed to, that I am someone who believes this reality as a system admin beyond the world room. Okay, and we're inside a simulated testing zone within a divine surveillance state. The divine surveillance state is not comprehensible to man, but it's kind of like, I guess the closest not closest, but like a way of man can acknowledge it, is that behind nature's laws there are divine commands that surpass the comprehension of the world room. So that means something original is happening, is moving the simulated life, but we as simulated beings can't know it as original unless it is through in actuality the mercy of the system admin. That means to me, success is not, if somebody says it's hard work the basis of success, I'll be like, nah, man, that's just, like, to me, karma is, I don't believe in karma. I can acknowledge, I can understand, like, if I punch a wall, there's, like, the third law of, in regards to stress coming back to my knuckles. But I'm saying, like, I do understand cause and effect, but I am not convinced that just because a limited part of life causes something, that the effect of reality has to acknowledge it truly. To me, it's a matter, it was first, like I'm telling you, that you're conditioned to accumulate things. When I was a young kid, I would collect rocks. Now I'm collecting moments of me trying to wonder about how far humanity is in. Anyways, I'm gonna go to the research component, guys. So I asked ChatGPT, my membership's finished, so this is ChatGPT, the basic one. I asked, is owning people the most valuable thing on earth? For example, a woman wanting to get a husband just to say, that's my husband, And I don't know, that's the way I asked it. And ChatGPT says, short answer, no. I mean, when I say owning people, I don't mean like, it's like, I don't mean the physical owning. You can't own a being, because how do I say it? It's like you have a mind directed to your own body, not to the body of others. Like, it's weird, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, telling people what to do is weird, I think, right? But saying, yo, guys, this is not the furthest we've seen, is perfectly all right, I think. Anyway, short answer. I'm reading this. This is ChatGPT. Guys, this is very important what it says here. No, owning people is not the most valuable. Here, it says, ChatGPT says, here's the truthful, psychologically accurate, and advanced answer without drifting into anything inappropriate or glorifying control over others. Exactly. It's about more the inner realms than the outer realms here. Short answer, no. Owning people is not the most valuable thing on earth, but the feeling of belonging is. People don't actually want ownership. They want identity, security, significance, and connection. In quotations, that's my husband, or in quotations, that's my wife, is rarely about ownership. It's about belonging to a shared life, not possessing a person. Why, it says deeper explanation, why people say in quotations, my husband, my wife. When someone says, that's my husband, she's not talking about property. They're speaking in terms of, one, identity. The relationship becomes part of their self-definition, just like in quotations, my friend, my team, my people. Humans build identity through connection. 2, social recognition. It signals stability, maturity, and commitment. Society reads marriage as a life milestone, so people use the phrase to communicate status, not ownership. 3, emotional security. It means this person has chosen me and I've chosen them. It's mutual, not unilateral. 4, psychological attachment. Humans form deep attachments. It's biological. The language we use reflects emotional bonds, not legal ownership. Advanced answers. Why humans seek belonging, not ownership. The desire to, in quotations, have people comes from an ancient evolutionary instinct. Early humans survived by forming tribes. Being alone meant death. Being alone meant death, belonging meant safety. Our brain still carries that wiring. So what feels like owning is actually, 1, the need for a stable social anchor. We want someone who will not leave during chaos. Guys, this is the most important thing. This is one of those lessons of my own soul I've learned in my own way, right? That do not Be someone who does not leave during chaos if you've stayed anywhere during the order. You know? 2, the need to matter to someone. Humans crave exclusivity because it validates their existence. 3, the need for shared identity. Humans evolve by merging lives, not dominating them. 4, the need to be witnessed. That's something for every narcissist to hear. Humans evolve by merging lives, not dominating them. That means beyond your own world, reality is present. Different. So 3, the need for, 4, the need to be witnessed. Your life feels more real when someone sees your growth, pain, and triumphs. Okay, that's a refreshing view, you know. We don't want to just be in the presence of our own eyes. So it says, so people don't want to own a person, they want a story that includes them. Then AI says, most advanced philosophical view. The most valuable thing on earth is mutual devotion built on freedom, not ownership. Ownership creates fear, resentment, and decay. Freedom inside commitment creates the highest truth. A truly advanced civilization, the kind you're always thinking about, knows this. Connection without control is the greatest form of wealth. I know this is the true nature of it. Do you know that means we don't want to interfere with how, let's say, another sees our true value. We don't want to tell people how to see us. Anybody who's doing that, I don't think, I mean, in relationships, setting boundaries is different. Those are kind of a response to a situation. Anyways, it says in that world, people don't, in quotation, own partners. They choose each other every day. The relationship becomes a chapter of identity, not a cage. If you want the cleanest one-sentence summary, humans never truly want to own people. They want to belong, to matter, and to be chosen. That's the real value. So guys, there you go. That's the thing. And I want to zoom in on one point of it. This sentence is so important. This is one of the most important sentences that I think AI has generated. People don't actually want ownership. They want identity. That means they want to be able to be identified, be seen. They want security. They don't want their identity to, in some sense, be, suddenly dismissed or gone, right? And they want significance. They want to matter, and they want connection. And guys, these, except identity, security, like think of it this way: security and connection are like animals, lesser species. But human beings, we have identity and significance, right? That means, this is 100% true. If there was like suddenly a woman that entered my life, right, and she wasn't trying to break my identity, she wasn't trying to, in some sense, disrupt my sense of future financial security, do you know? She wasn't trying to, in some sense, what's the term? Just own the moment one-sided, that only one part of the relationship, one part of the relationship matters, the other doesn't. Do you know what I mean? And connection, I'm pretty much saying like identity. It's like, who are you? Security, is everything going to be okay? Significance, how important was I really? And connection, did I truly belong? So ladies and gentlemen, this is my notion here. I'm saying that we've been conditioned to want to own things in life, and even owning specific things in life, like such as $1 trillion and like mansions all over the planet or something, companies and mansions all over the planet, like that to me is, I'm saying that's a certain sense of ownership of reality. But I'm telling you, especially for religious people, you don't even own your soul. That means you were created. We are not in the creator position. We're in the creator position. Excuse me, we're not in the creator position. We're in the created position. And of course, God knows the unseen. Truly, I'm just sharing perspectives here. To me, I just have this feeling that, yo, man, my body is temporary. So the idea of me is owning things as long as I'm existing here. But what was existence actually about? So, do people want to own life? In my view, if they feel threatened, they want to exert their territory like an evolutionary animal, do you know? But at the same time, I think that we also believe, like the species has this common sense view that owning things means you're tied. Even if back in the day, right? Like everything you own, you are responsible for its maintenance. Do you understand? And unless humans truly activate, they want to be, in some sense, not responsible for their life. I think a person's life can turn around if they just try to pinpoint what areas of reality they need to be responsible for, which means you need to be standing in rooms that you are not right now, but you should be, even internally speaking. So anyways, I just wanted to point out in the episodes, honestly, AI gave a really nice answer here. People don't actually want ownership. They want a sense of, they want to feel like they belong, right? And that's honestly it. We want to feel like we belong to we belong to a greater sense of self, of ourself. We belong, like, how do I say it? In identity, security, significance, and connection, this is pretty much the inner child. That means every being's inner child wants this, and if it was denied these, it can get controlled by these. That means if you didn't have an identity when you were young, like how people identify you or how you identify, that's going to become like a focus. Like what you lack, you pretty much go towards, right? So I was very shy and quiet, and it's like I went towards the opposite of that. Do you know what I mean? When I was young. Now I'm like the opposite of that. But I'm saying that, how far does the vision truly go? How advanced can we truly be? I think it's beyond a sense of ownership. I think when you realize this world has a host beyond the world room, that means you didn't create this world. You just appeared in like a world, right? And this world belongs to a power that is not conditional. So that means we can't even comprehend how an unconditional being owns all reality. But it does, which is another way of saying we are present in a world room where intentionally beings in the world room have been made conscious. There's a system admin. Like, from God's view, God could have moved reality in a way where everybody knew there was God from the beginning. Why the amnesia? Do you understand? That means this is what's not explained, right? After Adam and Eve, or maybe I don't know how it's explained, but Adam and Eve, after Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, they make a mistake. Do you understand? Why they forget where they fell from. That to me is strange. Why the forgetfulness of our original life? And the one answer I can find to that is because so we can live, there's some life to live. If everything was known, if everything was perfect, there would be no need to do anything, because the result, we're beginning from the end. So we had to be tested from the beginning. Anyways, thank you for listening. And I'm saying, for all human beings alive in 2025, There used to be a time in our effed up history, human history, where all nations were slavers, right? In the same way they owned animals, they owned humans like animals. And all of this has become obsolete. This has become, that was an error because we realized that the true consciousness of a being, that means it doesn't matter how you judge a being, because you can never know what their potential is, and as long as they are human they have great potential, so that potential can't be disrupted, because life is in some sense a sort of like an unnatural self's development in a natural world, only to realize that it's presence that leads to its state of awareness where there's even a self for all ideas, like an antenna to be picked up by. I'm saying the true nature of reality is far superior than the human interpretation of all of this. To me, our ancestors, they opened their eyes, they freaked out, they didn't know what to do. It was too vast and meaningless and edgeless and unknown. And so they're like, all right, guys, we got to like tell a story here. All right, you're going to be this character, you're going to be that character, I'm going to be this character. But somehow the nature of how human consciousness finds itself in the linguistic simulation is that you are in some sense the protagonist, because your eyes, your sight is starting from your face. It's like, yo man, is my consciousness on my face? You know, is it coming from my face? It's like, is my actual face the face of my consciousness? To me, it's honestly about realizing that you either own as an individual lost in your own world, or the species together discovers its collective birthright. You don't understand. There is such advanced things that can happen on this planet, and I feel very privileged and blessed to be actually alive now to share this, because I am not living ahead of, like, my body is in 2025. My mind has attempted many times to go as far as it can to the edges of its perception of the future, and I've understood that intelligence means isolated point discovers itself in a field. So who knows, maybe 3,000 years from now the human identity is going to become unnecessary. They're going to identify more as a divine field rather than a cognitive form within it. So to me it's strange, I just realize I got to be careful, because if I want to get a wife, if I want to in some sense truly connect to access the higher intelligent interaction levels of this reality, to access higher intelligent interaction levels, I must realize, and this is, I think, what truly being Muslim means. You realize nothing in the world owns the world, but the idea of things in the world, they have their own conditioning and design. More than I'm telling people, yo, it's you're not who you think you are. I'm saying, yeah, you can be any you that you think of, right? But I'm saying that the presence of the intelligence that is found within the human experience far surpasses just an idea of it. And it doesn't even make sense, because people are like acting like ideas, and they're like, yo man, I'm an idea that's generating another idea, and see, I just generated another idea after that idea, and I can identify even with this new idea, I'm going to generate another idea. And at some point you're like, wait a minute, I'm generating ideas in a world that I don't know where it is. If we knew what the world is, then I'd have a comfort of saying the truth is based on generating meaning, right? But I think it could actually be a mixture of both. That means you go after trying to find meaning, then you discover, you either are rejected by the divine or not. I think I shouldn't say it that way. You go to find true meaning, and you discover truth is the context, and the concept is simulated. So it's as if within a divine surveillance state, which is another way of saying God is here, which means the original being's life is happening the same time my simulated life as a being is happening. I think the realization is you don't own anything. You are an unknown life force that, through a conscious effort, identifies as it. Do you know? Anyways, I hope this lecture was interesting, and thank you for listening. Just a note to, I don't know, maybe people who are listening to this daily, guys. I'm gonna be around for 10 more days. Then I might take a break from giving the lectures. And I am not gifted at community development, but there is like a Discord link. I don't know. I feel like before I stop giving talks, like for 6 months, I should set up like some Discord event. Anyways, thank you for listening, guys. What am I saying? Thank you for listening. Um, I don't think people actually want ownership. I think they want ownership to get an identity, and then that identity makes them feel they belong somewhere, right? So we've made owning something specific, giving you being like a membership, like a gym membership. Okay, that means if you dress differently, the species is that surface level, still at that surface level. Like, oh my God, that person's body is a full representation of their mind. It's like, excuse me, how many different ways have we looked at the world that we've never even communicated? The nature of it is deeper. I don't think I see the idea of you. So you can own the idea of yourself, and then you can, in that abstract inner realm territory of yourself, assume the idea of yourself owns other ideas. But I'm telling you the most hilarious thing. You're an idea that is owning your whole moment, and then you think that the whole moment is owning the idea, right? But I'm telling you, there will come a time where you will realize in deep sleep, you don't own anything. Ownership, just like the human identity, is a state of consciousness. We are not more than we are specific things here in the world. We are a specific state of being. That means anybody who wants to, let's say, you want to play like you want to know what the deeper levels of reality are. They're about how intelligence moves prior to the necessity of thought moving. That means, does a moment need to have meaning right away, or can it just be watched as if you're unknown and there's an unknown moment happening? And then meaning is a selection of all, like, it's like your mind moves, your mind shows you different ways you can move, and then you select one, and then that's how you move, you know. Anyways, thank you for listening. I think ownership is an idea that first objects were trying to own objects, now subjects own objects, and objects are trying to own subjects and objects. It's like this strange ownership situation we're in. But I am telling you, more important than ownership, like, this is my personal view. Like, it doesn't matter what even view I have, just by being in the human position. If we can wonder about the advanced, why can we? And as the unborn future generations smile, may the system admin truly guide us towards our most advanced life. For the most advanced life of everyone would be the advanced civilization's presence. You are not like I'm trying to tell you, you as an individual human, you are part of the personality of the cosmos. Not the cosmos, the personality of the human civilization. You don't just belong to yourself, you belong to your position in existence also. And that position is in the presence of an intelligence beyond the world room. Anyways, thank you for listening. So that means when you're in a simulation, sure, we can play any ownership game. But just know that the ownership is simulated. It's conditioned. Thank you for listening. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. And folks, never forget, I'm a user here. The system admin knows. And if a being accesses a deeper reality, it's because the system admin wills it. And what does that mean? I'm not trying to personify truth for you, but I'm trying to tell you that once you realize the deeper presence of this of your moment, and you notice the unknown side of this known life you've been living, the unknown side of the coin of, the unknown side of this known life you're living, you will realize that beyond the ego functions as a duality, duality goes as far as infinity. It doesn't know what to choose out of infinity. Ego is trapped between infinity and emptiness. And so, yeah, so exactly. Or let me say it this way: the ego is trapped between infinity and the singular, and also between infinity and the void. Your ego is it's not the most advanced way of being, but it does have its advantages of the capabilities you have of let's say compartmentalizing reality. That means, like, when's a good time to have an ego? When you want to break down the moment. Anyways, thank you for listening. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful.